What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Suave TV. We got an interview today with CHRISTELYN Karazin. She's the author of The Pink Pill, and she is a promoter of interracial dating. It's needless to say, she is a very controversial person at times with certain people. But I felt like it was important to have this conversation. I didn't interview her. One of our staff writers did. I did get some feedback asking why I even allowed anyone from my staff to talk to her. Why I allowed her a platform. She's the enemy of the people, and I need to have better standards, was the quote that I received. Here's the thing. I'm a journalist. We don't have to agree with everyone that we interview. We don't have to take on your mindset because we're interviewing you. Your philosophies do not have to become ours. Your mentality does not have to become ours. But being a journalist, our job is to ask the questions. Our job is to say, well, why would you think this? Why would you think that? Explain this, explain that. Maybe we misunderstood. Let us know. Let us clarify some things. That's what journalists do. It's a magazine. It's journalism. We're going to ask questions. We're not always going to agree with the people that are in the magazine. We have interviewed former KKK Grand Wizards. I've interviewed artists that I did not agree with. I've interviewed actors that I do not agree with. I've interviewed politicians that I do not agree with. It's important to have conversations. So if your mindset going into anything is, well, why would you even talk to that person? Without even reading the interview. So before reading the interview, that was the question. That was the statements that were given to me. And I was like, did you read it? No. Shut the hell up. Okay? So that's where we're at. I want us to learn to talk to each other. I want us to learn to challenge each other on perspectives. It's okay to disagree with people. That's fine. That's a part of life. I disagree with family members. Me and my mom get into it. Me and my brothers get into it. Me and my best friends get into it. And that's fine. We have different perspectives. And it's okay to debate those things. But to completely shut down someone because you don't like a perspective that you think you know about that person without ever speaking to that person, that ain't cool. And we're not going to do it at Suave. So for our Suave audience, here's our interview. I hope you guys enjoy it. And as always, spread some love and stay suave. Peace.
Today we have a special guest, Miss CHRISTELYN, the creator of The Pink Pill and author of Swirling.
Well, thank you for having me.
Congratulations. I actually heard that you are one of the richest YouTube stars in the United States, and she is a Black woman. So I applaud you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Tell the readers that don't know much about you, where you're from, a little bit about your history.
Okay, well, so I grew up in the Antelope Valley, California, which is why you pick up on an accent. I am truly, authentically a Valley girl. I grew up in a middle-class background. My parents are from the South, and they moved to the LA area from Texas to, have a better life because it was a sort of a great migration from people who moved from the South into California for jobs. Mm-hmm. So I've been born and raised in California, and I went to Loyola Marymount University, and I got pregnant there. I was a baby mama.
Ain't nothing wrong with
that. And it really did change the trajectory of the direction of my life in a positive way, because as a result of that, I had to start thinking differently. I had to think about someone other than myself. And I sort of was just on this odyssey, this journey to getting where I am now based on my successes, but mostly on my failures, learning from my failures and leveraging them as teachable moments to other people. So while I became a baby mama in college, I also met my husband,
Okay.
And that was pretty life-changing. My husband is not Black.
Yes.
He is a German and European descent. And when we got married, it was so funny. My girlfriends would ask me, "How did you do that?"
Yes, because I'm wondering, how did your family deal with it? How did your girlfriends deal with that?
Well, at the time, so this was the, late 90s. This was like 1999, early 2000s. There was still that narrative that, white men will hide you in, at home. He won't introduce you to your to his family, and he'll never marry you. So when I got married, they were just like, "What?" My parents had always been pretty open, because I remember when I was 8 years old, I asked them a question just to I was just trolling them, actually, because I hadn't had any intention to do this, but I was just trolling them. And I said, "What would you guys do if I married a white guy?" And I thought, for sure, my dad was born in the 1920s. My mom was born in 1940. They'd seen the worst of racism in this country. They'd seen, the worst of, what happened in the civil rights movement. My dad only had an 8th grade education. He was a sharecropper's son. So I expected a very different answer than what I got. And what they told me is, we don't care if he's Black, white, or purple. As long as he treats you well, that's all that matters.
Okay.
So I was shocked that they said that. But that really laid the foundation that made it okay for me to explore.
You had the green light. Yeah. So what do you think actually hinders Black women today from interracial dating?
Well, they don't have a green light. Either they don't have a green light from their families, they don't have a green light from society, they don't have a green light from their friends. And for a lot of Black women, that social acceptance and wanting to be validated and feel like part of a community is so important to them that they will constrict what they do in order to maintain that support system. The problem is, though, is that it really does hamstring us when it comes to dating and mating. And so the goal was, I have a background in writing. I used to be a freelance writer for Better Homes and Gardens, Reuters News Service. And so I decided, let me just pitch a book. And I pitched it to some publishing companies, and I got 3 offers. I said, "Hey, what about a book on interracial relationships from a Black woman's perspective?" And we got several. I have a co-author. We got several offers, and we decided to go with Simon & Schuster. And it just set off this revolutionary conversation. There were a lot of people that were very, very uncomfortable with having that conversation.
Yeah. You got to rip the Band-Aid off a little bit.
Yes. So they, and in the book came out in 2012, and it was very interesting, the response that I got. It was anger, a lot of anger, a lot of hope, a lot of confusion, a lot of cognitive dissonance. And so people started, and the world started to change, and internet dating really became a thing. It became more possible for people to meet people from all sorts of different backgrounds. And so so once that started happening, so this was interracial dating, has a direct correlation with the rise of the internet dating platforms. And so Black women started warming up when they started seeing their friends and seeing people on Instagram, seeing people on YouTube interracially married and looking very happy. They were like, "Well, oh, okay." And so they came to me and they were like, "All right, I'm open to this, but I don't really feel comfortable around people outside of my Black community. I don't feel comfortable. I don't know how to navigate. I feel less confident." And so I developed a course based on my successes and failures, and that was the Pink Pill. And that was extremely successful, especially since people really didn't know what that was. Like,
actually, where did you actually originate that name from?
So it's a play off the Matrix, the blue pill or the red pill. Be ready to take that pill that will tell you what you need to know, that will make you uncomfortable, but can have a whole world of possibilities for you. And the offshoots of that were the pink pill for college, because I wanted college girls to know, hey, because a lot of the issues that people reached out to me about was that, when I was in college, all I did was get my education, because well-meaning parents tell Black women this all the time: don't worry about boys, don't worry about those white people, just get your education and get out. And what we realize is that we miss a massive opportunity to meet people who can expand our network, to meet possible marriage partners, to meet lifelong friends that can also be business contacts. Because when you're in college, everybody's on the same level playing field. You're in the same class with the congressman's son. You're in the same class with the CEO's daughter. And so we miss opportunities when we don't know how to do that. So that's why I created the Pink Pill for College.
Do you believe that with students, with Black women, the reason why we kind of are set back is because of some form of oppression or colorism against Black features and beauty standards? That's why we hinder ourselves a little bit?
Yes, well, definitely. We Black women have been drilled into them that we are inferior. And so we show up to the world feeling that way, or being in a defensive type of mode because of all of the negative things that we get. And so it's up to us to reprogram. And what I tell people is that you got to find your tribe. You got to find your circle of support.
Exactly.
If you are around people who are telling you that you are inferior and less than, then you need new friends. Period. The end. And you can find allies and friends of all races, colors, and creeds. And I encourage Black women to do that, because the whole world opens to you when you are brave enough to see what else is out there.
Okay. All right. So what are your main goals for the Pink Pill overall? You said you have Pink Pill College and Pink Pill for Business.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we have the original Pink Pill, the Pink Pill for College, and the Pink Pill for Business. So my goal for all three courses is to empower and elevate the image of Black women. I want them to gain the confidence and the skills and the style and the poise so that they can succeed in all areas of their life, whether that's in relationships, in business, or with your, with your social network.
So in terms of relationships, do you believe that, Black women can get a high value man?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so like, what does that entail? Does age, you said looks, and maybe status, or does that all play, a factor?
Well, absolutely. What I want Black women to realize is that the world is a big place, and you only need one. Okay. Everybody doesn't have to think you're beautiful. Everybody doesn't have to think you're charming. Just one. Right? So the goal is just with everything. When you apply for a job, it's a numbers game. You put your resume out there. You make your calls. You make your contacts. It's a numbers game. It's the same with relationships. And so the more nets you cast in various bodies of water, the more likelihood that you are going to bring back a big fish. And maybe that big fish is Black, but he could be white, he could be Asian, he could be Hispanic, he could be Middle Eastern. But you have to be open to it. But also, it's very important to understand that I believe that Black women have a very unique beauty that is just it is unrivaled. But a problem that we often have is that many of us struggle with our weight. Many of us aren't well versed in etiquette and social mores that are class indicators that count us out. And so my goal is to teach women through style, poise, etiquette, so that they have the opportunity to not be discounted based on people writing them off, not because they are Black, but because they don't fit in. And it's not necessarily because you're Black that you don't fit in. But if you don't feel comfortable, if you are at a wine tasting party and you've never even had a glass of wine, or you don't know the difference between a Cabernet and a Pinot Grigio, then you're not part of the group. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So they don't know how to relate to you. So it's not about you being Black. It's that you don't understand
the language and don't understand the language. Okay. Exactly. So in terms of looks, can women wear, hair extensions, eyelashes, the nails? What is the ideal high value Black woman? What does that look like?
Well, she is fit, and I am all for looking your best by hook or by crook. So I want you to exercise, but if you got the money to level up, every other race of woman is doing what she needs to do to level up. She's in those cosmetic surgery offices. She's getting her hair extension. She's doing all this. The thing to do is just to do it in moderation. I feel like what I see a lot, I think that appearance are sometimes skewed because of Instagram. So everything is like on the extreme of Instagram, where you have these girls who have like lashes that look like, butterfly wings, and they're getting ready to, take launch and go to flight,
Yeah, true.
I personally believe that Black women who, hair is your enhancement. So definitely use those things. But I personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I think that Black women look best with hair extensions that match the natural texture of Black hair.
Okay.
I don't think, and part of the reason why other races of women are able to get away with wearing weaves, because believe me, they do.
Oh yeah.
Much or maybe even more. But the reason why they don't get so, downed upon or mocked about it is because they use extensions that match their texture, and so it looks extremely natural. And so I say to Black women, you do the same thing, but you use your own texture. That's what I do. I wear extensions, I wear wigs, I wear all of those things, but a lot of people think it's my real hair because it mimics my own natural texture.
Okay, so how do you feel about, like you said, with Instagram and the models, you see, the blackfishing and, the lighter skin models getting enhancements to mimic the Black women phenotype. Do you believe people are, profiting from Black women image?
Well, they're profiting from colorism within the Black community. Let's be honest. Okay, so we got to be honest here, and that's another reason why Black women really need to be open to dating all men, because there have been many scholarly studies that indicate that darker skinned women in the Black community, and this is not even dating out, if you are just within the African American community, if you are lighter skinned, you get married first, statistically. Colorism is rampant. And now, because they can, Black men aren't even just, getting with light-skinned women. They're getting with white women.
Yeah.
And they do and marry interracially, especially if they are at a higher level, socioeconomic level. They're getting married at sometimes 3 times the rate.
Yeah.
It really does not. So it's colorism. And so what outsiders have realized is that they get more attention as light-skinned Black women than they do as, so-called regular run-of-the-mill white women.
Okay. All right. So you do see the kind of the Black underground war that's kind of going on with black men versus black women?
There's definitely some gender wars going on here. It's unfortunate. You know, it leaves us confused and hurt. It can be very hurtful to hear these things. And what I say is, go where you're celebrated.
Yeah.
Period.
So do you believe we can ever repair or, the dismantle and mental illness of the black family and community?
Well, I don't know. That's a lofty goal. But what I will say this, we won't do it if only 50% of us is committed to it. So if only black women are committed to creating a black family and a black nuclear functioning family, where 50% of the other group is just, they're very self-focused, they're very into what they want. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that if only one segment of the group is more dedicated? It's got to be a double effort. It has to be an effort on both sides. But what I will say is this: Ralph Richard Banks wrote a book called His Marriage for White People, and he said that the way to help the black family is by black women realizing that they have options. Because when we tell black men, I would never date interracially, I would never do that, you're my king, I will never, I will never leave you, I would never do that, then that makes them really comfortable, right?
Yes.
And what happens when you tell somebody that no matter what you do, no matter how you hurt me, I will still love you anyway? Nobody appreciates that. Nobody's going to say, oh wow, this is great, I can be a complete donkey and she's still gonna want to be with me. No, you have to say, listen, I know that I have options and you're going to have to do right by me, or I know what else is out there.
Okay.
And that's what I want black women to do. And once we communicate that we are no longer a foregone conclusion, then we start having the leverage and the power. Because as long as we outnumber the men that are by 2 million that are marriageable, we are at a bargaining disadvantage when it comes to marriage if we are exclusive.
So how will the pink pill help black women gain the confidence and knowledge to become their better selves?
It's through style, through etiquette, understanding the rules of the game, understanding the soft skills, being able to be very good communicators, understanding the elements of networking. I even give advice on how to get into these more elite circles and ways in which to do it. So I cover all of it. It is the most comprehensive course that I know about, and it's been on sale for 2 years, and I have not gotten a single negative review. Not a one.
That's why she is the richest person on YouTube right now. Okay. One more question. I do have one more question though. So, I mean, I know you're what is your industry called? Like, what is your job title? You're like an image consultant. What is your industry?
Yeah, well, yes, I'm a style coach. I'm a certified style coach, and I'm a certified business etiquette and protocol consultant.
Okay. All right. So I know I'm in Atlanta, and I've heard quite a few of them. And there is this dude named Kevin Samuels, and of course I know you heard of him. So, and you canceled your show. You canceled your show, and that's I support it. So, I want to know, for my question for you, do you believe what he is saying is trying to expand black women's minds, or do you believe black women should just, remove themselves from being judged when beauty is subjective and honestly based on European features historically?
he's trying to operate a business. He's a businessman. There's a lot of things that I appreciate about him. He has a very good aesthetic. He dresses very well. He's very well spoken
He
and
does.
intelligent.
Yes,
He runs
he
an
is.
excellent show. Some of
He
the
does.
things that he says, I agree with. Some people have even said you're the black female Kevin Samuels.
Yeah.
But where I draw the line is this. I honestly don't believe it's helpful to mock vulnerable people. And that is where I draw the line. And that's why I don't do it. People who call into these shows are looking for guidance. Many of them are looking for parental figures. And I think that when you have a large platform, we have to realize that it's not just entertainment, just for clicks and views and super chats. These are real people who are calling. These are real people behind the screen, and they depend on us in that moment to help them and to guide them. And I think that it's not always helpful to be mocking of that.
To prey on
mental
illness in a way, the vulnerable.
And so it's like, in many ways, Kevin and I say the same thing. Our delivery is different. And there's some people who can only receive information. I don't get it, because you're basically telling, the majority of his callers, he's telling them they don't have a chance, but yet they continue to call. I don't approach it that way. I think everybody has a chance. There's levels to success. There's levels to what meaning is for each person. And so I think that if you're only listening to that voice, then it can cause you to be it can cause you to be very discouraged in your level up journey. And my goal is to inspire the exact opposite in women, but I want to do it in a positive way. Wonderful. I think the truth is important to tell, but we have a very comprehensive language. The English language is quite comprehensive, and there are millions of ways to say the same thing. And context matters, and delivery matters.
Well, wonderful. That's what we all needed to know, definitely in Black Twitter and Black YouTube and, the underground.
Wow, is that everybody?
Yes, Miss CHRISTELYN, you are very popular, okay? Wow. So you did the right thing, and I think, it was commendable. So, Miss CHRISTELYN, I know you're pretty busy, and you're an educator. You got to teach women how to correctly swallow the pink pill. So, tell the readers and the listeners where we can find you.
Okay, so they can find me on Instagram and Twitter at CHRISTELYN. And that's CHRISTELYN. And I have a link tree there that links to, all of my programs and my courses, so they can have, and also there's some free seminars and things like that. So, that's how they can get all my contacts, is through just going to Instagram and going to that link in my bio.